So, welcome and welcome back to Ponce Green Garage. We're going to continue our series Anatomical Approach to Human Body Topology. Today, it's getting a little bit more practical and exciting because we're going to start making the head. Before we start, even though it's not essential, but it's going to be great and a little easier if you have, just like I do here, if you have a 3D model ready as a reference, as a kind of a reference to base our head topology on. Anyway, if you see on the left, on the right side, on the outliner here, if we let's turn this off and let's turn it the, the model off, you will see that I've created all these, kind of steps, all the 15 steps of the head making that we're gonna do here. So I'm gonna use this myself. I'm gonna use it myself as kind of a reference that I and all of us can go back and forth while I'm recreating the whole thing from scratch. So in case you don't have a 3D model, I'm gonna make the final head model, and these all the 15 steps that we're gonna do here on my Gumroad store. Again, of course, it's not essential, and you don't need to have this to go on with this series. But in case you want to have something you can look around or turn around while making your own head topology, you can get these for a couple of dollars on my Gumroad store. I'm gonna put the link in the description down below. So these are the visuals of the steps that we're gonna do. However, these are the text, right? So these are the steps, the textual steps, right? So there are roughly 15 steps of the head, of making the head. So yeah, maybe right now it's a good time for you to kind of take a look at these steps to kind of see what we're gonna do on the next 15 steps, right? So on this part, we're gonna tackle the first three steps. So these three is the thing that we're gonna do right now on this part. So yeah, what is so the first thing, right? So what is cranium based measurement block, right? Well, in the 2D world, it's called cranial unit. It's a method to determine a human body proportions based on cranium size. This method was developed by a man named Robert Beverly Hale. If you haven't heard of it, Proco, if a great artist and teacher himself, has made a video, which is this one, explaining all the details about this cranial units developed by Robert Beverly Hale. So you may have heard of head stall method, which is another method to determine human body proportions, but this time based on the overall head size. You may have heard that an ideal stature of a human is around 7.5 heads tall. But the thing is, I'm kind of a follower of Robert Beverly Hale because I figured that cranium size is more consistent than the head size. And cranium is basically an elongated or oval shaped ball. And a ball is always a ball whenever it's seen from every angle and sides. So yeah, cranium it is. We're gonna use the size of the cranium as the basis for our human head and body proportion. Classically, an ideal well proportioned human body is made of 11.5 craniums tall. But the thing is, just like the 7.5 head stall method, the number 11.5 is kind of an idealization, so to speak. Shorter people will stand on 9 to 10 cranium stall, while taller people will stand on 12 to 13 cranium stall. So yeah, they kind of changed. So it's not kind of a set on stone kind of a measurement and proportions. So yeah, but then you may wonder, how do we figure out the size of the cranium in the first place? Well, we're going to use another scientific basis for this. However, we will not find the cranium size on the Gray's Anatomy book, but we will find it on this very thorough paper called ANSUR the second. So that's the acronym. As you can see, the full title of the paper is Anthropometric Survey of U.S. Army Personnel. And it's published internally in 2012, as you can see here, but and it's only been made available, publicly available in 2017. It's called ANSUR the second because it is to replace the older ANSUR the first, published in 1988. At the moment, it's the biggest and the most complete publicly available database for human body measurements. It's basically a database of all sorts of body measurements taken from US Army personnel. You can download it for free if you would like to see the entire paper. I'm going to put the link in the description down below. Again, just like Gray's Anatomy, but it's kind of slightly smaller. It's another huge paper with over 450 pages inside. However, the measurement that we need right now is the 45th measurement, head breadth, which we can find in page 143. So there it is. So yeah, right now you may wonder, why do we use head breadth now? Don't we plan to use cranium size instead? Well, the head breadth is gonna be equal to the cranium breadth. And so if we go to Photoshop here, and we can see that if we draw a circle, right? We can see that if the cranium is basically a ball, then its breadth, which is this horizontal size, is going to be equal to the kind of the height or the length of the circle, of the cranium of the ball, creating a nice circle in the 2D plane. So yeah, let's go back to our paper, right? So in case you have no idea how to read these statistics, it's okay. I'm gonna explain it later. So this is how it looks like. It looks like in percentiles. We don't need it right now, but if we go one page down, we will see something quite more useful, like this. For females, the range of the cranium size go from 13.05 centimeters to 16.65 centimeters. And for males, the range is from 13.55 centimeters down to 18.05 centimeters. So we're going to make a female head and body first. So we will look at the female or the left side of the data right here. The F, or frequency, means how many people have the measurement between this number and the next. So for example, this one, right? The frequency is 8. So there are 8 people who do have the head breadth measurement between 13.55 centimeters and 13 and 65 centimeters, and so forth. So it's kind of the interval kind of thing. You would notice that there is 0.1 centimeters difference on each steps. So this is 13.05, and then 13.15, and then 13.25. So that is the steps. So between that, so this basically 8 people between that 0.1 centimeters interval. So yeah. Next, it's the FPCT. It's basically the F, the frequency in percent. So that means the F here divided by the number of the participants, which is this one at the bottom. So that is going to be 1,986 participants, which you can see also on the top corner here, on the top left table. And yeah, now next, the QMF, however funny it looks, stands for cumulative frequency, which means the F, which is the frequency, but stacked from the first to the next. So it starts with 1 and then 3. Add them together, you got 4, and then there's another 1. Add it to 4, we get 5, and then add it another 4, we get 9. Add it to 7, you got 16, and so on. So next, QMF PCT, which is cumulative frequency in percent. So QMF divided by the number of the participants. Okay, that's how we're supposed to read it. However, without that, we will notice that the F, or the frequency here, starts getting higher. So if you see the number here, 131478, you will see that the number starts getting higher when it touches around 14 centimeters, which is this one. So it's 57, and then 60, and then 124 people. So that's kind of getting higher and higher before it gets lower again around this bit. I would say it's around 15.45 centimeters right here. So yeah, the most abundant frequency lies on this bit, so with 159 frequency, and that is going to be the 14.45 centimeters of the head breadth measurement, with the mean actually not far from it, which is, if you see it from the top table again, is 14.78 centimeters. So yeah, that's our magic number for the cranium size. Again, just like the proportions thing, it's not set on stone. It's just there to give us a rough estimate of how big the cranium should be. So let's go back to Blender. So here is my model, and so if you zoom, so first of all, this is the thing that you have been seeing from yesterday's background is actually it already has been subdivided, so it's kind of quite heavy geometry. So however, this is the base model, so it has kind of a lower geometry, and this is the thing that we're gonna use to base our head topology on. And so yeah, now this is the model, of course now without the clothes, but I've put some cover on the sensitive areas, right? So you would notice that, so again, I've mentioned earlier that you notice that this doesn't look as refined as this one, because this one has already been subdivided and then further sculpted. Meanwhile, this is this is basically the base mesh that, so it's a model which hasn't been subdivided yet. So this particular model stands at 162.5. So, and in fact has the size of the cranium of 14.14 centimeters. So it's a little on the smaller side. So this is the first thing that we should do, and it's basically create this. So let's hide this. So create this proportion placeholder right here. So it's basically just UV spheres stacked on top of each other, and this one creates 11.5 balls tall. And to create it, it's quite easy actually. So let's hide it for now. So we can start all over again. So now first let's create the UV sphere and put the cranium size that we have selected. For me, it's 14.14 centimeters, right? And we can apply the scale, always apply the scale so that we have a nice scale at here. And yeah, so now we're gonna put the origin at the bottom of the UV sphere. So we can so we can use a cursor selected and object set origin to 3D cursor. Now the origin has been set to the bottom of the UV sphere, and we can just now clear location with Alt G. Probably, yeah. So with Alt G again, yeah. So that's it. Then add an array modifier to it. So let's add array. So and then we go to the relative offset. Put 6 in, so it should be 0 in the x and the y, and on this vector z put 6. So so what's happened? Sorry, it's 1 and the count is 6. So sorry for that. So you should fill the count as 6, and you should, so let's repeat that. So let's make an array, put the factor x to 0, the y is 0, and the z is 1. And we're going to put the count to 6. So yeah. So we're going to put this to the side. So let's turn on our model. We're going to put it to the side because this is actually for the legs and the feet. So yeah, now that's done. We can duplicate it, move it back to the middle, and move it up until, so let's hide it again. So we're gonna move it up until it touches the top of the last array of the previous ball, which is this one. So you can do it manually like this, but you can basically type in the number. So it's 14.14 centimeters, multiply it by 6, and you will get the exactly the spot. And then you just have to kind of move it down a half of the cranium size. So you can, again, you can do it manually, or you can just use this one. So 14.14 divided by 2 is gonna be 7.07 centimeters, and voila, now we've got this. So this thing and that thing, these two balls should be standing a half height from one another. So yeah, this is the proportion placeholder. Now let's get it started. So if we go back to our notepad, the first step is add a cranium based measurement block, right? So now we've got the measurement, so we can go to my newly created collection, which is called Steps of Head Demo. And now we just have to create a cube, and we're going to set the dimension to 14.14 centimeters. And okay, now yeah, so cut it in half again, like that, and we're gonna delete the half, and we're gonna apply the mirror modifier like that, and yeah, so yeah, now again we're gonna add a loop along the y-axis and the z-axis, so that in the end we have a nice 2 by 2 divisions on the block. So yeah, next we're gonna put it in place, which is the uppermost of the ball, this one. And yeah, so we can just do it manually, or we can, what we can do is use this. Let me try something like this. So that is good, and minus 7.7 centimeters. So that's exactly where it's supposed to be. And however, just like what we did on the tailor's approach to cloth sewing, I would like to add color codes to the cube so that we can see it better. So let's hide the measurement, and let's open my steps of it. Since I have already create this, we can just link these two things, Control L, and link materials. So wait a minute, so is it correct? Yeah, so now we got the cube, we got all the color codes that we supposed to have. So this is the top, this is the front, this is the side, this is the back, and this is the bottom, right? So that's our first step. Second step is to add cranium protrusion and jaw block, right? So as I have mentioned, the cranium is not actually a perfect ball, but rather an oval or elongated shaped ball. So we should add extra volume in the y-axis. By how much? Well, roughly around 1/4 of the cranium size. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna extrude along the y-axis, and we're gonna put something like, so we know that it's 14 multiplied by 4. Something like that. So there it is. And for the jaw, we can extrude it down from the bottom faces right here, right? So by how much? Well, if we turn on our model here, and probably we should hide the hair so that we can see it a little better. So for my model, it's just a little, so if we move it down, so this is gonna be a half, right? So this is a half of the cranium size. However, you would see that it's a little bit below a half of the cranium size. So to be precise, actually, is gonna be 3/7 of the cranium size. So if we type in the entire thing again, something like that instead. So this is why I mentioned about head stall not really helpful when it comes to proportion, because some people do have big and long jaw, and some other people have small and short one. And as you can see, the jaw is like almost 1/3 of the head in its entirety. So if a person have a long and big jaw, and we use 7.5 head stall, we will then create something taller than it should. Vice versa, if a person has a short and small jaw, we will then create something that is shorter than it should. So if you notice right now, if we see it from the side view, we will see a nice 3/3 division on the head block. Okay, now the third step, which is add the neck block. Well, this is quite easy actually. We can just extrude it uh, from the bottom part. So, but not all the way to here, not all the way from this to that. But we're gonna only use this one face at the bottom, and we're gonna extrude it down. And yeah, how much down? Well, we can just extrude it from until it touches the bottom part of the second ball. So let me put it back on. So we can extrude it until it just touches this the bottom part of the second ball, as I've mentioned it. However, you can do it manually, or you can do it with the number. The number is gonna be, let's see, I think I'm gonna 11 and a half, I would say that. Sorry, maybe not that, 11, 10 and a half, I mean, so 14 centimeter multiply 10 and a half. It should be 9 and a half because it's second ball. So divided by, multiply by 9.5. Yeah, so there you go. So it's gonna be very exact place. So yeah, that's it. However, if you see the original third step, you would notice that I pull it to the front a little so that it gives a little bit more volume to the neck. So we can do it as well. So let's move it to the front a little, right? Something like that. And we're gonna move it to the front as well so that we create kind of a nice straight line from the top of the head to the neck area. So yeah, that's it for this part. We have done the first 3 steps of the 15 steps overall 15 steps, and yeah, on the next part we're gonna continue working on the next steps. So yeah, I'll see you there.